Hello everyone, and welcome to my beginner's guide on the WHO ICF, or the World Health Organization's International Classification of Functioning, Disability and Health. The question that I'm trying to answer today is, what is the WHO ICF? There are a couple of different ways in which I can answer this. And my traditional, more complicated answer is, it is a way of thinking. I have also explained this as a way of conceptualizing an idea or viewing functioning in the presence of a health difficulty. This all sounds a little bit abstract. There is also an official definition that comes from the World Health Organization, defining it as a classification of health and health-related domains. But what does that all mean? And so I'm going to make a comparison today for you that is a little bit different. Bear with me, see if this can work for you. I'm going to start out with the question, what is a house? How do we define a house? What is the concept that we have of a house? The first thing that we need for a house is the foundation that it stands on. The next thing we need are some walls. The walls make up the house. For safety and security, we're going to put a roof on this house. In order to get in and out, we're going to add a door. And finally, for decoration and light, we're going to add a window. Now we have a house. Everybody that would be presented with this idea would recognize this as the idea of house. But what is interesting is that house comes in many varieties. There are many different ways in which a house can be built and what it can look like. But we would still recognize a lot of these components in the house concept that I was describing to you. So now I'm turning this around and I ask you, what is the concept of healthy functioning? How can we define health and functioning? My starting point is going to be your body, because a lot of health has to do with the body. And so what is the state that this body is in? What is its healthiness? And let's call this body structure. The second question I ask, with this body, what is it that this body can do? And let's call this body function. The next item in our concept is what you can then do with this body the way it is functioning. Another aspect of healthy functioning is how you interact with your environment. So I ask, how does the environment influence your functioning? It also turns out that there are specific characteristics of you as a person that very much influence how well you can function. For example, it matters how old you are. It matters how much money you have. Or it may matter where you live. Finally, for our context, we're interested in how these factors interact with each other uniquely in the context of living with combined vision and hearing difficulties. Now it turns out all of these components also interact with each other and influence each other. And so now I'm just going to use exactly these items, but I'm going to rearrange them a little bit. The pieces are still exactly the same, but now they represent the ICF. So this gives you a better idea of how the International Classification of Functioning, Disability and Health is built and how its components interact with each other. The ICF now allows you, in a case of a specific health condition, like in our case, deafblindness, how this disease or disorder or level of functioning influences other components. We could look at an environmental variable like assistive technology and how it influences a component of participation, such as our ability to communicate. And so the model allows us to explore impairment, limitations, and restrictions. Let me get back to my idea of the house. It turns out once you are in the house, you realize it has different rooms. The rooms contain furniture and pieces of your properties. Similar, the ICF has 4 rooms or 4 domains. These are body function, body structure, activities of participation, and the environment. Inside of these rooms, you will find codes. These are the items that you own. And so you will see that each of these variables has coding systems inside of it that identify specific pieces of each room. In the example of body functions, for example, you have a category for sensory function, and in there you will find seeing functions, and you will find codes for things like the visual field or visual acuity. So this gives you an idea of how the ICF is structured and where you can find the different pieces we're describing. The codes that I have mentioned can then be used to identify priorities. So for example, we asked 72 individuals with lived experience of deafblindness, including family members and care providers, how deafblindness influences their lives. It turns out then we were able to code the answers according to the ICF system. In the figure that I'm showing you here, the width of each of the branches of this graph indicates the number of codes that were needed to represent all of their answers. The distribution of these codes then tells us which are the most relevant areas of functions, specifically where individuals living with deafblindness are concerned. I hope that this gives you a better idea now about how the ICF works, what it is, and what it is for. If you would like to know more about our specific ICF project in the context of deafblindness, please visit our website, whoisdeafblind.org, or Who is Deafblind, or you can always contact me by email or find me on X. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope I created a little bit of clarity. Bye now.